Dion Dawkins contract restructured by Beane, saving around $3.9 million. What is the move going to be here? Is a trade a brewing in Buffalo? Welcome to my channel here, Bills News Consolidated. We need to discuss it, a potential trade, maybe a potential Rob Gronkowski. A lot of whispers coming out about tight end Rob Gronkowski. Now, I think it's a little bit early to determine Rob Gronkowski coming out of retirement. I think he wants to, for sure, go to a playoff team. You know, I think it's a little early. We don't know if the Bills are going to even make the playoffs this year, right? So what is the move going to be? The trade deadline is coming up here. So we have to discuss all the potential trade targets for the Buffalo Bills. Now, I know at the beginning of the year and throughout the year, a lot of people wanted Patrick Surtain and a lot of hype around Patrick Surtain and also a lot of hype around Davante Adams. But unfortunately, both teams coming out, the Raiders as well as the Broncos, saying that those players are foundational pieces to them and they're not going to be traded. But what happens when an irresistible offer comes onto the table? You still don't ultimately really know what is going on. But if we just throw out the fact that the Bills and the Raiders and the Broncos are not going to be parting ways with Patrick Surtain and Davante Adams, we have to take a look at potential other players in the NFL that the Bills could very well be interested in. Now, I know the Vikings won last night, but a player that I was eyeing up on the Vikings, and they beat the 49ers too. So I think they're probably not going to be wanting to part ways with a guy like Harrison Phillips, familiar with Sean McDermott's scheme. He could easily come here very fast, learn this defense, and make an impact immediately. I mean, against the Patriots, we saw Jordan Phillips. I mean, he blows up the play occasionally, but it's very inconsistent. So, you know, I saw him. Harrison Phillips would be a great fill-in for Daquan Jones, you know, filling in as that run stuffer for the Buffalo Bills. Now, I know D-tackle is still a concern, and I was looking at the New York Giants. Dexter Lawrence, a 350-pound defensive tackle. Man, Joe Shane, Brandon Beane definitely have a relationship there. I know a lot of people are going to say, well, they run a 3-4 defense, right? But we have to keep in mind, Harrison Phillips actually played 3-4 in college, and we still drafted him. Von Miller was in a 3-4 scheme his entire career. Even Daquan Jones was in 3-4. So the proof is that the Bills have converted players in the past from a 3-4 to a 4-3. Even Lorenzo Alexander was in a 3-4 scheme. So these versatile type players can definitely come and excel in Sean McDermott's scheme. Now, another player here that I've been kind of eyeing up for the Buffalo Bills is James Conner, running back for the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, obviously we know him in the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is a strong, bruising type running back that fights for extra yards. Yes, we have James Cook. Yes, we have Latavius Murray. But now we did lose Damian Harris. Damian Harris wasn't getting many touches, but a guy like James Conner could definitely come in and solidify that backfield even more. Knowing that the Bills really have been struggling passing the ball. And no excuses, too. You know, like, that's why we have Gabe Davis. That's why we have Stephon Diggs, you know, and now the loss of Dawson Knox, Dalton Kincaid finally starting to progress here in Ken Dorsey's scheme. But it does make sense to bring in an additional wide receiver. And some Bills fans, they wanted Chris Olave, but was unfortunately arrested Sunday night. And I think he's still locked up right now, to be honest. So we know Brandon Beane, the character of players that he likes to bring in. I don't think that's going to be on the Buffalo Bills' radar at this point. But other wide receivers, you have to really take a look across the league. You know, DeAndre Hopkins was a high choice for Bills Mafia too, offering that jump ball situation. I think he can come in and rotate with Gabe Davis on the outside. You know, and we saw it both weeks against the Giants and also this past week, Stephon Diggs being tasked to catch those 50-50 jump balls in the end zone. I mean, Stephon Diggs is great, don't get me wrong, but he's not the tallest, right? And I think a guy like DeAndre Hopkins in that situation would definitely prevail in those situations. Even we saw Gabe Davis against the Patriots. Josh Allen just threw the ball a little bit too high to Gabe Davis, but I'm telling you, if Davante Adams was out there, if DeAndre Hopkins was out there, I'm sure these players would definitely be coming down with the grab. And another player that was rumored in years past was DK Metcalf. Now, I think the Bills would definitely love to have another tall, physical type wide receiver on this team. We're looking at someone to be a second option to Stephon Diggs, not to replace Stephon Diggs. Diggs is a great route runner. I mean, he is good after the catch too, but that's not ultimately what he wants to do. Like, Diggs does not want to ultimately lower his shoulder and fight for extra yards. I think he's just a crispy route runner. He could sit in the zone coverages. He can beat man. He's a great dual purpose wide receiver for the Buffalo Bills, but we still need to have a jump ball, a tall physical type wide receiver opposite of Stephon Diggs. And I think a great comparison to Gabe Davis is Mike Evans. I think that is really what we were all hoping Gabe Davis would live up to is a Mike Evans type skill set. And you never know, Mike Evans could very well be on that radar. Chicago Bears with Mooney, DJ Clark, a lot of people were hyping about too. But really the positional needs for this Buffalo Bills team right now could very well be tight end due to the loss of Dawson Knox. We saw that Nick Bolton, linebacker, is also undergoing wrist surgery. They announced it the same day as Dawson Knox, but a timetable was given for him, which was 2 months. So if that's the case for Dawson Knox, I mean, we're looking at a long time away from Dawson Knox, and the tight end position could very well make sense. And what's nice about Rob Gronkowski is we don't necessarily have to give anything up for him. We don't have to trade for him, right? But the move has been made. Brandon Beane frees up about $4 million for the Buffalo Bills. That's a hefty price to bring in a solid player here to Bills Mafia. But I want to hear from you guys, like, what is the positional need that you guys think the Buffalo Bills should be addressing? Whether you think it's another running back, a tight end. Obviously, our struggles have been more so on the offensive side of the football, but you cannot forget the main players that are out for the Bills. Trey White, Matt Milano, Daquan Jones, even Ed Oliver battling through some injuries right now too. It's just very, very tough to overcome these hurdles, right? So Brandon Beane, like, what are you guys willing to part ways with? A first-round pick, second-round pick? Let me know in the comment section below your top player, your favorite position, what we should give up for him. Definitely want to hear from you guys. But I'm holding my head up high. I know this season is a lot harder than we all thought it was going to be, but I still have the faith. You got to believe as a Buffalo Bills fan, Bills Mafia. But I appreciate you guys. Hit like, subscribe. I'll check you soon, and go Bills.